Welcome to the F1 Debate Show. We talk about Robert Kubica testing the 2017 Renault F1 car in Hungary.
Will Sebastian only re-sign for Ferrari if somebody special sticks around?
On the 6th February 2011, Robert Kubica had a crash that would change his life forever. He was competing in the Rally of Italy, where he hit a barrier and then slid onto the other side of the track, hit a church wall and suffered a very severe injury on his right arm, which obviously put his Formula 1 career on hold. Now, at the time, he was driving with LOTUS-RENAULT, obviously just transferred from Renault Formula 1 team, so obviously there was a big transition going on there. He just had a very wonderful season in 2010, obviously picking up some very good podiums as well, some very good, upbeat performances. And obviously at the time he was considered as one of F1's next big thing, if you like, obviously with Lewis Hamilton just coming in 2 years or 3 years previously. So Robert Kubica was on par to become like Sebastian Vettel has been, what Lewis Hamilton has been. But obviously what happened in Italy obviously was just absolutely, it was just really, really bad to actually see. We did see that he did get lucky before in Canada 2007 when he had a very, very massive, probably one of the biggest F1 crashes there's ever been. And obviously got lucky there. But I think when this crash occurred, we all were like, I don't think he's going to be as lucky as he was the last times. And obviously the whole world of motorsport came together to try and support Robert Kubica through this really tough time, what he was going through, and obviously put his F1 career on hold for a while. And obviously ever since then there's always been like, is he going to come back to Formula 1? There's been, he's had simulation tests, he's done this, he's done that, but it's always been the same conclusion of no, he's not fit, he's not ready. So obviously, what does the future hold for Robert Kubica? Fast forward 2,365 days later from his his life-changing injury, Robert Kubica is set to be testing for the Renault 2017 car. Now, when it comes to very enduring cars, in the world of motorsport, the 2017 cars are probably one of the toughest ones to drive. Now, you're probably thinking, with Robert Kubica's condition and actually trying to drive an F1 car like a 2017 F1 car, is he going to handle it? Well, he signed up with Renault, obviously, not fully, by the way. I must say, don't immediately start jumping on the bandwagon and going, oh my god, he's just said that he signed with Renault. No, he hasn't, not yet. Anyway, he's actually teamed up with Renault to actually do the 2-day in-season test at Hungary 1 week after the Hungarian Grand Prix, coincidentally. And he is going to be doing he's also going to be alongside Formula 2 driver and Renault test driver Nicholas Latifi. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Nicholas Latifi. So.
Good pronunciation, that, yep.
So obviously two very good drivers, obviously one very experienced, one not so much experienced, but however, one tipped to become future world champion. Now again, when Robert Kubica tested in a 2012 Lotus car, Renault car, Lotus car at the time, let's say Renault Lotus, I'm really confused at this stage. Was it Renault, was it Lotus? I really don't know. So obviously back then, a couple of months ago, he did a test. I think he did about 170 odd laps. It was very, very impressive. Obviously, a first time in an F1 car since 2011. Obviously, at the same circuit of I think it was Jerez that they went to, which was the last time he actually drove an F1 car. So, some very, very, very fond memories there. But so obviously, Robert Kubica has now been back in the media spotlight by basically hinting a return to Formula 1, whether it's this season, whether it's next season. Now, a couple of episodes ago, go and check it out if you haven't seen it already. A little eye will come up at some point about now, obviously, linking you to that episode. We mentioned that he was actually tipped to come back next season, but since then he's actually been tipped to replace Julian Palmer at the next Grand Prix after Hungary in Belgium. Now, if this was to happen, it would literally throw some massive controversy throughout the F1 paddock, because obviously Julian Palmer is under a lot of pressure, as we have been saying throughout a couple of debate shows now. He's become the new Fernando Alonso when it comes to criticising a driver. We did criticise Alonso a lot, and now we are criticising Julian Palmer quite a lot as well. So obviously he's been in Formula 1 for about a year and a half now, and he's not at the best of stage, 1 point in 30 odd races, so not very good form for Julian Palmer compared to Nico, who's got like 27, 28 points now. So you can see obviously where Renault aren't really happy with Julian Palmer's performance. So obviously getting Robert Kubica back in a Formula 1 car would be brilliant for the sport. Obviously I would love it, Lara would love it, I'm pretty sure you guys would love it to see it as well. But would he actually be able to cope? Would the old Robert Kubica of old come back and be like that race winner we seen back in Canada 2008, and the potential world champion that that we literally could have seen. He could have been with Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, even McLaren at the time. He could have been with some really big teams. Obviously, if he didn't have that that major accident. In my opinion, I really don't know. It's all about how Robert Kubica preps himself, if he actually can go out an entire season, because it is going to be tough on him. Especially, I think next season that you're looking at like 21 races. Something that you're going to have like back-to-back races, miss a week, back-to-back races. And actually, no, I'm lying, because you've got 3 races in a row. Because I think you've got the Austrian, French, and British Grand Prix 3 weeks in a row. So that's going to be very, very tough on the drivers, especially Robert Kubica, who's been away from Formula 1 for 6 to 7 years, and the cars have changed a lot, especially this season since he last drove one. So let's see how he does in this test. I'm excited to see how he does in this test. I hope he does well. I would like to see him return to Formula 1. But one of the most eyebrows and raising things about this is that you've got a chance to obviously put some more mileage on your car and test some new parts. When there's no really pressure on you, you can just go out for a day, 2 days rather, and just test the car and just see test other parts and see how the next part of the season, the next 9 rounds, is going to pan out for you. And they haven't decided to do with their current drivers, Palmer and Hulkenberg. So are they looking to replace, if not one, both of them? Or maybe just saying, right, okay, you two get yourself away, you relax, get your mind off it. We'll get these guys in, and let's see how they can do, and maybe we'll consider signing one of you in the future. Now, I think Robert Kubica is going to be a part of the plans for Renault. Team Principal Cyril did actually say this, that he actually was looking to put Robert within his plans, whether that's test driving or whether that's just a full drive. Now, I'm not really too sure about all this. I can't say Robert coming back to Formula 1, but I don't know if it will be as soon as Belgium, is what the media is predicting. I think the earliest will be 2018. I mean, he is 32 years old, so again, he's got a good few years left in him. But obviously, Robert only knows when the time is ready to come back, and I hope that nobody actually goes to pressure him to actually, to come back, which obviously would be nice to say. Just right, Robert, when you're ready, you get back in that car for a full season, and if he does, it would be absolutely incredible. Probably the best F1 comeback of all time when it comes to drivers, anyways. So obviously, Lyle, you're fully aware of the situation now about Robert Kubica. Obviously, been away from Formula 1 for a number of years, coming back now, testing the 2017 Renault car. So, what do you think Robert is ready to compete in a full Formula 1 season, either next season or even half a season? Should he replace Jolyon Palmer in Belgium? So, do you think he's ready to make the return?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Formula 1, he's definitely skilled, definitely knows what he's doing. And obviously, when you said about the greatest comeback in Formula 1, obviously, I mean, we all remember how great Michael Schumacher, we saw him in that. And I was going to say, obviously, he's a big example that we're going to use. Obviously, very skilled, 7-time world champion. So obviously, it is a bit different to Robert's situation. Obviously, never world champion. Obviously not, so he hasn't got the credibility that Michael had. But I always remember when Michael came back, and again, people were questioning it. Like, was it the right decision? I mean, people weren't saying it was a bad decision, but they were like, what we're doing now with Robert, they were saying, there was questioning it really. But with Michael, when he came back, he had some great years, and obviously I remember 2012 was one of his best years. Well, no, he had one of his best years in his whole career, you could say. Obviously, definitely the best that he had when he came back. Obviously, 2010, 2011, and 2012.
Yeah.
But one of his best careers, best years, he could even say in his whole career was fantastic. He could have won in Monaco as well, which was fantastic. I always tell people, I was like, Michael could have won. Well, because obviously, I'll just take it because you got to remember he got that grid penalty against Bruno Senna in Spain, knocking him back to 6th place because he got pole position on the 2012 Monaco Grand Prix. Mark Webber got pole. Obviously, you can't overtake in Monaco. He won the race. Michael Schumacher could have won the race, and obviously that could have changed a lot of things. But Michael Schumacher, obviously, as I say, a fantastic comeback as well. And to see Robert back in Formula 1 would be really great for the sport. It would chuck another name into it that's already been in Formula 1. So obviously, into the... Well, it's a long time. It doesn't feel like, like the mid to late 2000s don't feel late, but they are now if you think about it. But anyway, so the people who knew his name at that point, and then he's coming back into Formula One. It's almost like a bit of a PR. Like it'll boost F1's PR because it'll be like, oh wow, there's another name. You know, a lot more Robert fans will come in. Obviously, it's probably gonna affect obviously Polish people as well because obviously only put a Polish Formula One driver obviously at that time like he was when he was in Formula One before. So obviously, kind of those fans that followed him in Formula One, they'll come back, and also it'll maybe bring on some new fans as well that'll follow him. In terms of it helping Renault, again, it'll help Renault like because they'll have an amazing name to it.
Yeah.
But it is really unsure to say that if Robert, you know, like obviously his driving, like how he's going to do now, because obviously we all know he was a really good Formula One driver. He had potential, as Jordan said at the start of the video. He had potential to go on as a world champion. You know, climb the ladder in terms of fantastic teams. He could have been at, you know, as I say, Mercedes, could have been at McLaren, Ferrari. McLaren were good back then, guys, by the way. And that's
they were good. They used to win races.
But by the way, there'll be a few. Do you know what? It'll be in about 10 years time, Jordan, and it'll be almost like you'll have to, the younger generation, you'll almost have to like drill it in their skulls that McLaren were once a good team, because obviously they will never believe it. They'll be like, McLaren, they're a crap team. They're like Sauber. They're worse than Sauber. Honestly, come on. Well, actually, they are worse than Sauber. I know we'll never be seeing that in a long time. But anyway, but Robert, obviously, it's hard to say what he'd be doing about his driving now, because obviously he's been out of Formula One. He's been out of racing for a good few years, obviously. But he has that experience that he got from Formula One. He had that experience from Rally as well, so obviously that'll help him. But as I say, I mean, it's a name as well. I know that him and Lewis Hamilton were good friends, as long as other people that he had on the grid. Obviously, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button. There's a few drivers. I know Jenson Button isn't on the grid, but obviously, which by the way, when I said that, I actually was going to lead on that he was on the grid. He's not on the grid at the moment. But yeah, a lot of drivers. There's a few drivers obviously who will have been there with when Robert was in Formula One originally. But to come back, it'll be fantastic, and also as well, it'll be good. It'll almost be good for like Esteban Ocon and people like that. You know. So like Esteban Ocon, you know, the new drivers, Max Verstappen, the young drivers, because then they'll be like, oh well, I've seen this guy on telly. Obviously, you know, as I say, I mean, Esteban and Max will have grown up. You know, they'll have all seen Robert on the telly. I mean, even Max and Esteban, because I know it's, and in Lance as well. I know it's strange to say, but they are our age. They're even younger. Yeah. Two of them are younger than us. Well, two of them are younger than me. So that's a crazy thing. Anyway, so they'll have been growing up watching Robert, obviously, like we did in the olden days. And then, they'll be like, oh, he's come back into Formula One and I'm now racing against him, which is, you know, very special in my ways. Yeah. So I think out of this, I think obviously Robert, if he comes back to Formula One, obviously if he's lucky enough to, as John said, you know, kind of pass the job interview stage 2, which obviously is the Hungary ring testing, obviously between him and Nick. You know, if he's lucky enough to get that drive and replace, you know, maybe Julian next year. By the way, I do think it's next year. Again, I agree with Jordan. I can't see it being Belgium and onwards. It's maybe not the experience, but on Julian's, on his credibility on his side, I just think that Julian needs a little bit more time to just prove himself more in the car. He's been in the car before. He was in last year, and as I said in I think it was the F1 debate or the GB preview show, the last one, I said that Julian Palmer scored. He had a brilliant race in Belgium, probably one of his best races this year. It was just outside the points, but it was very, very strong. I mean, I always remember that race. So anyway, but I think Julian needs just a little bit more, so let him steer the second half of the season. But yeah, as I say, Robert going next year, I mean, for him it will be really good. Hopefully he does well in the Hungarian test as well. I mean, on Julian's side, obviously that's up to him. If he improves, fantastic, he'll be on the grid as well. As I say, we're British, obviously we'd, you know, very much like him to be on the grid. We'd very much like him to be in Formula 1.
Of course.
See, if he goes, it's only going to be Lewis Hamilton, who's the only Brit on the grid, and that obviously that won't be very good, because obviously not everyone's a Hamilton fan. Obviously be like just a bit more obviously versatility, and also obviously, you know, Great Britain invented Formula 1, so obviously well, you know, we need British drivers in Formula 1. We have British teams in Formula 1. You know, we need British Formula 1 drivers. Anyway, so, but yeah, obviously Julian, he can prove himself on his own. Obviously, we hope he does as well. But Robert coming into Formula 1, it'll be a good sight to see. I hope he does well in the Hungary ring testing. And, I'm very happy to see him back. And I think it'll definitely help Formula 1. It's that the noticeability of it, you know, as I say, I mean, his name will echo in motorsport. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as you say that name that's been in Formula 1 before, obviously with big teams, you know, BMW, Sauber, you know, see race winner to Canada 2008. Obviously, again, his big crash in Canada 07, just the year before that. His name will echo because he's a very successful driver. Well, he's not a legend in terms of, as I say, Michael Schumacher, but he's known as being a good F1 driver back in the day. And if he comes back, again, as I say, I mean, it'll be a bit like Michael Schumacher when he came back in 2010. It'll be to help a team. It'll be for his name, you know, to like, you know, say this is amazing that I'm coming back after all these years. And as I say, I mean, those two things, will hopefully help him to be a better Formula 1 driver. So if he comes back into Formula 1, that'll be fantastic, and I'm sure he'll do a good job. Obviously, on terms of Julian's side, I don't really have loads, because obviously I just hope that he does improve. He just pulls out some things over the out of the bag, pulls some good results out of the bag, and I just hope that at the end of the day they don't think that just because Julian. That Robert, obviously because of his name in Formula 1, they'll think that, oh, well, it's better to have him on board instead of Julian Palmer. But, let's just take it on another standpoint. Let's just say Robert could get into Formula 1 just on his own, if that makes sense, Yeah. Let's just take Julian out of the equation. Yeah. I do think Robert in Formula 1 would be a great thing. And again, I mean, we'll just take one day at a time, and I can't wait for him to do the testing in Hungary. I think he'll do really well. I think he'll do really well on that. And again, obviously, like he did his other test in the Renault, or as he calls it, probably the Lotus still.
Lotus
and yeah, he did well in that. So again, let's just see how he does in Hungary. And also, well, by the way, just to let you know, obviously having like Formula 1 still going on a week after Hungary, that's only a fortnight for Belgium. So technically, Formula 1 it's all the time. There's not really a respite. But yeah, honestly, I can't wait to see that. And just a quick thing on obviously on Nicholas Latifi as well. Stepping into the car. I just think that's great because Renault are thinking like one step forward. They're thinking what's the word, like one? Yeah, the one step forward. One step. That doesn't sound right. A one step forward.
One step ahead.
One step ahead. Honestly, come on. What are we doing here? Racing or talking about one steps? But yeah, one step ahead. Come on, that's it. I was right with the one step. So I think with him in, I think with Nicholas Latifi in, it really is strong because Renault, as I say, one step ahead. It's just making sure that they have drivers in the bag, drivers that are trained, drivers that could step in if anything goes wrong with them. So obviously, technically, Renault, well, their perfect situation would be next year to have obviously a number one driver alongside Nico Hülkenberg. And then, well, two drivers in the Renault Formula 1 team, and then like two skilled drivers in behind the scenes. Obviously, let's say Nico and Julian are still in the Renault Formula 1 team. Again, you'll have Robert Kubica and Nicholas Latifi, two very skilled ex motor racing drivers, in the scenes, ready to step in, whether that be in any situation. But it'll be great to have them behind the scenes, and I think it's a great move that Renault are doing. I really do, and I can't wait for the testing to see what they're made of. Really,
yeah. I'm excited to see what Nicholas can do as well, because I know he's a Formula 2 winner. I think he's won a race or two this season, so I'm excited to see what he has to offer. But I was thinking this a few days ago when the news first came about, and I was thinking, right, Robert Kubica again. Obviously, yet again he's been linked with Renault and everything. Obviously, Renault are making the headlines quite a lot in the world of Formula 1. Now I'm thinking, is Renault just having our lives and just playing this big joke just to get some PR involved, because they're not going to be at the front of the grid. It's all about getting your sponsors involved within the car, within the team as well. So do you think that Renault are just giving Robert Kubica just to go, come on, like, here's the keys, just have a few laps, we'll get you involved a bit, but we all know that you aren't coming back, but don't tell the media that, because but do you think Renault are just like loving the attention that they're getting, because obviously they don't get enough of it, and obviously the more you get, really, the more the better the happier your sponsors will be. So
yeah, I know where that's coming from. I know what you
got
mean.
that side of it as well.
So yeah, that's kind of like the PR thing that I was on about. The name of Robert, obviously getting him into Formula 1, it's the name Robert Kubica. So basically, what obviously that's a good point, because you're saying that obviously is Renault just doing that to kind of win over like the media stations and things like that. I don't think they're doing it in that way. But I think, it's almost like Robert wants to come back. He's fresh and ready. I think Renault are just giving him a shot, and that's one of those things. That's just it's like one of them borderline cliches in movies. It's like they just give us one shot. All I need is one shot to prove to you that I can do it. And then I think he's doing that, and it's almost like he'll be grateful, because obviously, as I say, I mean, like he's very grateful to the team. Renault, he's wanting to help them out, and Renault was saying, well, we'll repay you with the chance to drive the Formula 1 car if you do well. As I say, I mean, you don't know what's around the corner. It might be a Formula 1 drive next season, or soon. I mean, 2019, 2020. I mean, he's only 32, as Jordan said. So there's, it's not like it's now or never.
Yeah.
He can be in Formula 1 in years to come. He might be a Jenson Button. He might be a third place driver and a third place / reserve / helping the team out.
Like work behind the scenes with like simulation and
exactly.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. Simulation. I mean, I mean, a lot of teams have drivers who just do sim work. You know what I mean? And stick the hand in an odd few times. Obviously, third place drivers. Ferrari are big with that. Ferrari Ferrari are probably one of the knownest teams, most known. I'm bad with my words today. Like the most known.
Honestly,
team
what are we doing here? Racing or pronunciation?
Racing or. Yes, honestly, come on. Anyway, but yes, Ferrari are known for that when they'll have like 3 drivers in, obviously, and people that fill that drive, which obviously really skilled. You've had Esteban Gutierrez over the past. You've had some great drivers, obviously, including Joe Bianchi. So obviously, having a third place driver in the team is, really good. And maybe Renault were just hoping to do that next year. Obviously, as I said about Julian, maybe he proves himself and stays, and then Robert becomes the third place driver. We've had Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel. We've had Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. We've had Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. There's always got to be a rivalry and a hatred in Formula 1 between people. But actually now there's something, it's been going on for a few years now, a big bromance in Formula 1. Now last year we said it was between Rob Smedley and Felipe Massa. Obviously, you can't separate those two people, but that's between a race engineer and a driver. What about 2 drivers? And what about 2 drivers that were in separate teams a few years ago? And I'm talking about Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel, which actually is quite amazing because, as you know, Kimi Räikkönen, obviously a man of few words, and he opened up the Seb. He was a big friend with him. You saw them all talking together, obviously after press conferences and after the race and things like that. And you know that they were buddy. Obviously, when Kimi came back with Lotus and when Seb was with Red Bull, they were really good friends. And I think one day they were talking about running off away into the distance at Ferrari. Their idea of like a dream vacation is going to Ferrari, and they finally did it in 2015. Kimi Räikkönen was at Ferrari for 1 year with Fernando Alonso. It was like, oh my god, you're a great driver, but shove off, I want to get to my buddy in here. And then finally the stars aligned, and in 2015 we had Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel, the unbelievable bromance and best friendship of those 2 drivers. Honestly, it's really, really great. Better than what we have at the F1 Debate Show. Anyway, so obviously they've been together through 2015, through 2016, and they are halfway through 2017. It's all going well. It's all going well so far. They've changed positions in drivers. They've changed positions during the race in quali. They've had pole positions. Obviously, both of them doing really well, and there's been no real incident. They've never really called each other in press conferences and things like that. And we're not hoping for that, obviously, because as I said, we want a nice, clean friendship. Obviously, unlike, as I said, Mark Webber and the man in question Sebastian Vettel had when they were at Red Bull. But there's a few things that have come alight in the last few weeks in the news. We didn't cover it last week because obviously of the big disappointment that was the Halo cockpit, or the flip-flop, or the Lightning McQueen dashboard. So we're going to cover it in this episode, and basically that is to do that with Sebastian Vettel has been offered a 3-year contract with Ferrari for the sum total of, and I'll just give you a moment to go and get a glass of water afterwards because it is a pretty big one to lie down afterwards. A 3-year contract for 138.8 million euros. That is pretty big. That's around 40 million euros per year. That is really big. They want the Sebastian. They want the Sebastian Vettel to stay at Ferrari. They're obviously really strong driver, and especially in the last few days as well, Toto Wolff has said that Valtteri Bottas, the chances of him being signed are pretty high, and obviously he'd be offered a multi-year contract if he did up until 2019. But obviously he hasn't been offered a contract yet, so don't read anything into it. A bit like when we said Robert was going to Renault. Don't count your chickens just yet. Yes, exactly. Don't count your chickens too soon, because obviously we do that and we get everything, wrong. But anyway, yes. So obviously, as I said, Sebastian Vettel has been offered a contract for 3 years with Scuderia Ferrari. Obviously, really strong. It's good to see Sebastian in there, especially if he can win the World Championship this year. But the big thing that he has said in one of his kind of not demands, but like, kind of demands, like cushion demands. Obviously he's not being, he's not shouting them. But one of the things that he wants to do, he wants Kimi Räikkönen to stay at Ferrari for at least another year. Basically, he says that Kimi Räikkönen is one of the best teammates that he's ever had, and he works well with him. Now, we're going to be discussing just their romance, their love, and their, the passion, and you know how it feels. Honestly, it's just... Ferrari is just like a big love fest at the moment. Honestly, I mean, they're the colour of red. Love is the colour of red. I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with Ferrari. I mean, honestly, what are we doing here? Racing or talking about one of the biggest romances in Formula 1 history? Honestly. Brilliant. Anyway, so Sebastian Vettel, he's going to stay at Ferrari. It's about himself. You go into Formula 1, obviously, as yourself. You fight for your team, but it's always about yourself. It's what you want. Your money is yours. Your driving is yours. You drive your own car and your own life. but he wants his buddy to stay in Formula 1 with him. Obviously, as we know, Kimi Räikkönen might be on the door out. We haven't called it, but we said that Kimi Räikkönen may be in the best position just to hang up his gloves and say, right, okay, I've been in Formula 1 for a very, very, very long time. Obviously, I was with Ferrari in the first half of my career. Obviously, 2007 World Champion, had some great years up until that, battling for many, many World Championships as well. Obviously, took a few years out. Rallycross, really, really strong in that. Comes back to Formula 1, gets 2 wins with LOTUS-RENAULT, obviously, in one of my favourite races, 2012 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and obviously the 2013 Australian Grand Prix, which we thought was going to be dominated by not Sebastian Vettel when Kimi won the first race. Honestly, it was amazing. And obviously, again, it come back to Ferrari. So Kimi's had an amazing career. So we've been saying, okay, Kimi, why don't you just end it now and just come out of Formula 1 now, because you've had, as I say, an amazing career, and let someone else take the seat.
Yeah.
And obviously, he might be like, well, I'm not too sure, but obviously Sebastian Vettel wants me to stay. And I think one of the big reasons that Sebastian Vettel is saying this, that obviously he'll re-sign if Kimi re-signs, is because obviously they're really good as a partnership, they work well for the team. And Sebastian Vettel, after all of the criticism that he's been taking and that, I'm actually going to praise him, because I think that he is thinking so much of the team. He's thinking about the constructor. He's thinking, look at the work that Kimi does. Look at the positions that Kimi brings. Obviously, he's always in the points. He's always consistent. He's obviously, the Ferrari's consistent. He's a great driver. He finishes in the points alongside me, who obviously he's finishing in the points. Hopefully a race win in the next few races, but obviously race wins before that. Leading the World Championship, even though by 1 point, but he's still leading the World Championship. They work fantastic as a pair at Ferrari. Obviously do really, really strong. And I also think that he might be thinking that if Kimi leaves, it might open the door to, obviously someone else will fill the seat. Will it be Carlos Sainz? Will it be, there's a lot of drivers in the talk. Obviously, big one is Carlos Sainz, as we discussed in the last episode 62. Going to Ferrari for Carlos Sainz, I think, is a very high possibility. We've got other drivers as well, obviously Formula 2, the test driving team. The Ferrari, obviously, they've got that Charles, very strong
Leclerc.
like that. That's it. They've got other drivers on the grid as well. I mean, it could be Esteban Ocon, it could be Checo Perez, it could be anybody. But Sebastian Vettel might be saying that, if somebody else takes that seat, it'll be good. It'll be good to show that Formula 1 is, obviously they've accepted them, and obviously, as I say, someone, for example, let's just use Carlos Sainz as as the dummy. Let's just say he's in Ferrari, okay? That's amazing for Formula 1. That's fantastic. It's a Spaniard in an Italian team, obviously, like Fernando Alonso was. From 2012 to 2013, obviously 2014. Sorry, really strong from that. But then Seb might be thinking, well, it's good for Carlos Sainz and it's good for Ferrari and it's good for Formula 1, but it's not really good for me. Well, no, sorry, it's okay for Ferrari, but it's not really that good for me, because I want to win the World Drivers' Championship, but in terms of the constructors, Carlos might not be pulling his weight, or whoever takes that C, for example, because I'm not just picking on Carlos and saying that he's a bad driver. I'm not. I think you're a great driver, Carlos Sainz. Subscribe. So that guy might not be pulling his weight, and I think that's why he wants Kimi Räikkönen to stay, obviously, as well as the Bromace. So John, obviously Bromace is in the air. We've had Rob Smedley, who obviously born in Mills, but very, our region. We have some amazing people. We've had Jim Clark, we've had Sir Frank Williams, Rob Smedley, me. So honestly, we're on fire. What are we doing here? Racing or talking about the northeast of England? But so Kimi Räikkönen. So Seb, obviously, I mean, the chances of him signing for Ferrari are high, but do you think his demand will swing in the way of, for example, Kimi Räikkönen, what he'll be thinking, and do you think that Bromace will go on through 2018?
I think it will, to be fair. Well, actually, I'm not really too sure, because, at the start of the season, I was like, right, I think Kimi Räikkönen is literally going to be right there. This is it. I think this is going to be his last season. Now, I've been saying all season that he is going to hang up his helmet, hang up his gloves, and that is going to be that. But recently, I'm thinking, I don't know, because it's look at the drivers who might want to fill in Kimi's seat. Now, I believe Sebastian Vettel is going to be staying without a doubt. I can't see him going anywhere else. I can't see him going back to Red Bull. I can't see him going to Mercedes. I think I see at Ferrari, that 3-year deal, sign it, get the money in, and just literally hang on and see what the future holds for Sebastian Vettel. Because I believe he can win a World Championship at Ferrari, if it's not this season, and probably maybe in the next 3 years, if he does sign that that new multi-million-pound deal contract. But obviously, Ferrari will be sitting there going, right, okay, it's nice that we've had experience back in the car for Kimi Räikkönen, but we need the right guy to come in and actually, continue on this legacy of Ferrari, because Ferrari has been on a massive rebuilding phase in the past 3 to 4 years. They haven't been where they want to be, and they brought in the wrong people in the backroom staff. They had the wrong drivers at the wrong time. Maybe, like, for example, Felipe Massa. Massa was always that. I thought it was like that weight that sort of brought Ferrari down, because if you had the likes of Raikkonen in the car at the time, if you had Hamilton in the car at the time, alongside Alonso, it could have been very, very competitive. Very, very competitive Ferrari. But obviously, when Sebastian Vettel came in, and obviously alongside Kimi Raikkonen, you've got 2 of the best F1 drivers on the grid there. 4-time world champion and a 1-time world champion. Now, the other drivers who's obviously tipped to join Ferrari, one of them is Sergio Perez. Now, Ferrari could be thinking, what's Perez going to bring to the team? Yes, he's a very competitive driver, but then you're thinking, if we sign Perez, then we could be losing out on our protege, Charles Leclerc, who I'm a big fan of to begin with. And you've also got Antonio Giovinazzi, who, as well, is an Italian driver. So, again, that just, the route to Ferrari. I don't know, the last Italian to race for, I think it was Lucas Badaway, whoever replaced Massa. Oh, and it was one of the worst F1 drivers. I don't know if he was Italian, but I know Fisichella, he drove for Ferrari when Massa had that that dreadful accident about 8-9 years ago now. So obviously coincidentally brought up into this weekend as well. So it's a very, very risky move. And if they do think, right, okay, we want to go with one of younger drivers. None of these guys are ready just yet. We'll give Kimi another year, see what he can do, and then right, okay, Kimi. Now I think this is time to go. Bring in Giovinazzi, maybe even Leclerc. I think one of those drivers will fill in that seat and get a young driver in, and then maybe even continue an even bigger legacy with Ferrari alongside Sebastian Vettel. Then when Sebastian Vettel leaves after the end of that 3-year contract he'll sign, it might be like Giovinazzi who comes in alongside him, and that would be a very impressive team indeed.
But, I mean, again, it's a bit like like when I said about Renault. It's like they've got to be one step ahead. They've always got to be having the best drivers.
Oh yeah,
and as I say, I mean,
I think that's in any team. You've got to be one step ahead of next season, because you don't have the wrong driver in at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's a bit like comparing it to Renault, though. It's a bit like obviously with as I say with having Robert and Nick in. It's like getting them ready for what could be next season. Obviously, all these drivers, Kimi could be staying, but all these drivers being prepared and being ready to open the door when Kimi opens it at the other end and run in is fantastic compared to obviously, for example, like they might open the door and then be like, right, come on, and then they're sitting down reading the magazine and going, what? Me? Then they're not going to be ready, obviously.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's obviously very important.
It is. Yes, exactly. But what I was saying before, just before we went on to Renault, I was saying about McLaren, about how they got in K-Mag and Sergio Perez and only had them for one season. Now it's up to you whether you want to say whether they were ready or not. For Perez, maybe not. But you could also say, well, he had a really, really bad car, which obviously I will defend. But many people will say, maybe Perez wasn't really ready for a challenge, because the car, yes, it wasn't competitive, but it was still capable of finishing on the podium. I know fine well it was compared to this season and last season and the season before. So that's what you got to try and think about. And K-Mag as well got on the podium in his first race, and it wasn't really the same. But also as well, that car was capable again of finishing on the podium. It was a Mercedes engine, for crying out loud, in the V6 era. That's still pretty powerful. So, and obviously Jensen Button was doing all right, I guess. Obviously, yes, he did finish on the podium. Of course, now you're probably thinking, well, you just stood on foot there, Jordan. But that's what I think. Anyways, obviously everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So obviously, let us know your opinions about that in the comment section below as well. Obviously, if you think Kimi Raikkonen should stay or go, and obviously go off as well. But also as well, just back onto that Ferrari thing as well. It's got to be the right guy for Sebastian Vettel, because you want 2 drivers who will work well together. And yes, it is nice having that the inter-team rivalry when you had Vettel and Webber and Nico and Lewis. But for ourselves, the media wise and the pundits as well, it is brilliant to see. Like, oh my god, 2 drivers in the same team battling it out. It's fantastic to see. But for the likes of Paddy Lowe and Toto Wolff and everyone like that, the backroom stuff, it's a big headache for them, because it's like, oh my god, it's like if it's not one, it's the other, and if it's not one or the other, it's both of them. That's why
Ferrari will love Seb and Kimi, because obviously, I mean,
exactly,
the chances of them ever doing something like that will be ridiculous. And honestly, there'll be one defining moment, I think, when they'll be racing, and then let's just create a scenario where Kimi's leading, and Seb's right behind him. And, you know, even without instruction from there probably is going to be instruction from the team. But I just imagine, you know, like Kimi just going and almost like driving at the side and going, you know, come on, lad, you know, you can go through. And then going, geez, I owe you one. I owe you one. I'll get you a
proper Geordie finish as well.
I'll get you an ice cream in for the next time. I'll give you an ice cream in for the next round. Ice cream, is it? You know, I'll go to the bar.
I'll buy you oh man, what is it? I can't say it now.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
I can't say it now. I could say it before, but a schnitzel. That's the word.
Schnitzel.
I'll buy you a big schnitzel.
A schnitzel.
Anything we have said in today's video, let us know in the comment section below. Your opinions as well. Obviously, love it to hear from you guys. I know a lot of you have been interacting with us recently as well. Some good, some bad, but you know that's just podcasts in general, isn't it? That's just videos in general. But anyways, guys, this is where we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching as well. If you have liked this video, then please give it a like. Subscribe as well if you're new around here. We do love a subscribe or two. And if you are going to dislike this video, comment underneath why you're going to dislike this video. We want to know why. We like to know why you like this video, but we also like to know why you dislike this video as well. Leave everything in the comment section below. But anyways, guys, we've been there for the debate show, and we'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.